Very good evening, guys. Very good evening and welcome to Gradeup. My name is Abhishek Singh and I welcome you all in this really crucial, important and special lecture of Gradeup, where we are bringing for you an important topic with to the point approach. And today's topic for that is going to be carbon neutrality. So I welcome all of you. And guys, before we could proceed ahead, I would like to tell you something about myself. My name is Abhishek Singh, as you might be aware. If you're not, then you can get my name here. And guys, I have qualified the UPSC mains examination and attempted the interview in 2013 and appeared for the mains in 2014 and 2018. I have taken subjects in my teaching about history, polity, and also occasionally I do teach science as well. All right. And today I would just like to give you a brief reminder about the number of days which are left. That is just 74 days. So this is why this to the point approach is going to be extremely helpful for all the candidates who are aspiring to appear in 2021 prelims examination. Also, it is going to be beneficial for the students looking for the mains as well as for the next year's examination. All right. So guys, currently we are having an offer going on for all the students, that is flat 45% off if you subscribe to the Gradeup Super, and just make sure that you use this code mantra45 to fulfill your zid, your dream of a good score in achieving the prelims examination as well as the mains. So guys, jinka bhi, whosoever is thinking that they have the determination, they have the capability to score good, join us and at this flat discount rate. All right. So today's topic is going to be know all about the carbon neutrality. Good afternoon, Abad and Tanvi, Tawheed, Mangilal, everyone, a very good afternoon, guys. So if we are concerned about the environment, nowadays we are able to see that in the paper, UPSC question paper as well, in our daily life as well as in our news, etc. everywhere, the carbon neutrality is a big term. So what is the context of today's topic? Basically, the non-profit organization Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit, ECIU, which is located at London in the United Kingdom, and it is working since 2014, right? So this organization has reported that recently 32 countries have targeted to achieve carbon neutral status in or around the mid-century. That means currently we are in the 21st century. So by 2050, 32 countries have targeted to achieve the carbon neutral status. Remember the term carbon neutral status. All right. So what are the other major points about this? So guys, recently 32 countries, as we all saw that they have set a goal of achieving the carbon neutral status in or around the mid-century. But according to the experts' opinion, what are the real chances? The experts say that the number of governments and the businesses of countries committed to achieving the carbon neutrality, that is increasing, but still the world is far away from achieving that goal. It is like that we are seeing that our studies have increased as the exam is approaching, but still we are far away from the required pace to achieve the target. It is exactly the same condition. However, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, he emphasized that ambitious climate action is mandatory for achieving a clean and green future. Okay. So this is the one major point that we are having. And let us see that what is meant by carbon neutrality. What is carbon neutrality exactly? Okay, so guys, we all know that every country has some industries and production activity, all right, and every country also has the biotic components, especially the forest, the marshland, okay, the oceans, etc. So what happens that every country produces some amount of CO2 that is emitted out, and every country absorbs some amount of CO2. For example, we must have heard that Brazilian rainforests, they absorb actually maximum, in fact half of the terrestrial carbon dioxide that is produced by the whole world, that is absorbed by the Amazonian rainforest or Brazilian rainforest. We also might have heard that the oceans are the greatest sink of the carbon dioxide. All right. So what is carbon neutrality here? That it is also called as net zero carbon emission. It means that if the more CO2 is emitted, the more CO2 will be removed from the atmosphere. That means if CO2 emission is increasing, let us also increase the CO2 absorption, so that the net change in the status quo or in the original condition, that is neutral, zero. So to achieve this goal, every important sector of the economy has to be eco-friendly. Got it? And guys, different countries have to strengthen their economy through the renewable energy resources such as wind or the solar power farms, replacing the polluting fossil fuels. So you might have seen that in the recent years, the fuel prices, I'm not talking about India. India is an exceptional spree where the fuel prices are increasing. Otherwise, at the global level, the fuel prices are going down. Why? What can be the reason behind that? Apart from the production related or the geopolitical reasons, the one main reason, that is the fossil fuels are nowadays not so favorable fuels for the future purpose. Rather, we are investing more in attaining the solar energy capabilities for almost everything. Okay? And why are we doing that? Because our aim is to attain the carbon neutrality. Okay, guys? Now, if our aim is to attain the carbon neutrality, so what is the current status of the carbon neutrality? What is the current scenario about which we are having this one? All right. Rudra, this is the live class. Good afternoon, dear. This is the live class only, right? And so guys, currently if we are talking about, so on a global scale, it has not been possible to reduce carbon emission even after the declarations of carbon neutrality by the developed countries. Now, what does that mean? Basically, we all must be aware that in 2016, right, the Paris Climate Deal, that was a Paris Climate Accord that was signed, and in that, the United States and the European Union, both of these major economic blocs, they actually are refraining from their responsibility to give the serious consideration to the land use and the changes in the land uses and the forest related emissions, right? Basically, if we see the marshland, right, that produces actually the greenhouse gases. How? However, that also absorbs the CO2. If we see the certain fields like say maize or paddy field, these are also producing the greenhouse gases. Okay, particularly methane. However, CO2, which is another greenhouse gas, that is absorbed. So what is the problem here? That these nations have not given the due consideration to their restrictive and their discretionary land uses. Okay. So that is one thing. That means we are far from the goal. The credit goes to mainly the US and the European Union. However, let me also make it very clear that even the US and the European Union, they also blame the major developing nations, including China and India. They have their own arguments. All right. So someday we will also see their arguments as well. Now, current status is also important to learn because European Union is going to be a zero carbon emitter by 2050. At least this is what they have decided. Okay, this is what they have decided, because the European Union have made a law which is binding on all the members of European Union, that we have to become a zero carbon emitter. Means what? It does not mean that we will shut down all our industries. All we means Europe. No, it means that if we are producing X kg, then we will also absorb X kg or more, right? Or more. That means we will become zero carbon emitter, in fact absorber, by 2050. That is what the Europe's plan is. Okay. And since they have made such laws and all that, because they can afford it, they can afford to make such laws, as they have achieved almost all the economic goals possible for any country to achieve, to become a highly developed country. So now what is happening, that according to the World Economic Forum report, China is at the top in the terms of carbon emissions, followed by US, which has not abided by the Paris Climate Accord, and India at number 3. But guys, if you see the per capita emissions, let me give you some more information about that. If you see the per capita emission, India will become far behind the America or the other European nations. And why so? Because despite its humongous population, the total production of the CO2 emission, that total emission of CO2 by India, is still comparable to many nations of Europe. All right. That means we are far behind in the per capita productivity of CO2. So our contribution per capita in creating the CO2 greenhouse envelope, that is still less, but it does not mean that our responsibility is reduced because of it. No. So what is the India's commitment? What are we doing to fulfill our responsibility in this regard? So guys, recently in the month of February, from 10th to 12th February, you can see this image. From 10th to 12th February 2021, the World Sustainable Development Summit 2021. What was the motto? Redefining our common future, safe and secure environment for all. This has taken place, right? This had taken place in India. And India, while inauguration, it declared that it is only through the common efforts that the goals of sustainable development can be achieved. And India is ready to play its role in pursuing these goals. All right. So guys, as we all know that Paris Climate Accord came to existence in 2015 and India formally signed it in 2016. Right. So by signing it, India agreed to reduce the emissions by 33 to 35% by 2030. Okay, by 2030. So what is India's plan? Basically, that India is committed to reduce the CO2 equivalent by 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2 by additional forest areas in 2030, by 2030. Okay, so India is currently the it is currently among those few nations which are going accordingly and as per the targeted goals. So that's a very commendable thing for India. Okay, guys. So that's all for today's to the point lecture. If you wish to join us for the Gradeup Super subscription or for the UPSC preparation with Gradeup, you can have following options to join us, where you will get the 500 plus live interactive sessions and 500 plus PDFs, 30 plus mock tests, etc., as well as 4,000 plus practice questions. You can join it by yourself also. You can select your plan, apply the coupon, and make the payment by yourself. And what benefits you will get? You will get all these benefits. Just call out this number and get into touch with us. We are your faculty members. I regularly teach history to you at Gradeup. All right. And these are other faculty members. You must be aware, right? Regularly, I think Teja Sai sir would have been taking your classes for this type of topics, isn't it, guys? So these are the other faculty members. You are all aware about them. You can join us on the Telegram as well, and make sure that you share this session with all of your friends, because it is a very short and concise. And guys, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel of Gradeup IAS. All right, guys, all the best and thank you so much. Don't forget to rate the session if you loved it. So make sure that rate it accordingly. Take care. Bye-bye. All the best for your preparation. Exactly, Tejas. It is blaming actually. It is actually blaming because USA thinks that whatever it has achieved, the level of development, other nations should not achieve that. This is actually a tendency in the developed nations. Otherwise, I will be, giving you certain ideas in some other class maybe, that UK single-handedly changed the entire environmental position in the 19th century. All right. So people are actually ignoring these type of things. Okay. But yes, obviously it's no use to beat the bush on the basis of the past things. Let us see towards the future. Okay. So take care, everyone. Bye-bye and